Hey there, it's Lexy, and welcome to Lexy's World. And today I'm going to be conducting my first guest interview conversation. We're just going to be talking about some real things, topic being young adult life. Here I have a very special guest. This is my best friend, Jada. I've known her since the 3rd grade, and we're going to be talking about some real things, okay? So first off, I just want to, tell them about yourself, Jada. What college you go to? Introduce yourself a little bit.
Okay. I'll give what we call a Howard intro. So my name is Jada from New Jersey, and I am a health education major with a concentration on maternal and child health and a biology minor, and I go to Howard University.
Period. HU, period. Okay, so honestly, I wanted to bring her on here because we were just having a conversation about campus life in general, and I was like, wait a minute, we really need to just get this on recording because this conversation was getting really deep. So we literally just woke up. This is fresh off the brain. Like I said, these are real topics, real conversations, something that you may relate to on the other end listening in. So first question I want to ask is, how would you describe your campus life at Howard?
Me personally, or like campus life in general?
I mean, you can go about it in general and then describe your personal,
okay,
experience.
I think at Howard there's like 1,000,001 things to do.
Mm-hmm.
There's something for everybody. Like seriously, when they say there's something for everybody, there's an anime club, there's a figure skating club now, I think, skateboarding club, rugby. It's a lot of good activities. Like you can always definitely find your people, find your interests. So that's something that I'm really grateful for. And then also if it's like, something that maybe you don't see like a lot of Black people doing, like specifically figure skating, you're now surrounded by Black people when you do it. It's like it's just fun because it's like this is what you're interested in, and something that you may have been a minority in, you are the majority now. And then pertaining to me, my campus life, I'm not as active as I would like to be, but I'm trying. I'm on a little like K-pop dance team. It's like, how specific is that, and we just do like our little K-pop dance covers, and it's just a bunch of Black people who like K-pop also love dancing. It's that kind of thing, so I think
that's actually really interesting because I honestly think like in general, Howard, the campus life experience is so different, especially than like Drexel, because Drexel, if you don't know, it's a private college. It's a lot smaller. Howard is a huge college. A lot of people go there, a lot of people apply. And I feel like Drexel is just this really like tight knit like community where it's very business. Like you feel like you're in a 9-to-5 just being at school. So sometimes like the campus life can really not feel like a campus experience. It almost feels like you're going there for one reason and then your end goal is to end up like working. And I feel like I'm already doing that right now. So that's why like I really just want to get the insight on campus experience. So we were talking about like students, Greek life and all that stuff, but I really just want to get into like, how do you describe like the student bonding at Howard? Like, is there a lot of camaraderie there? Is there a lot of, student body, talking to one another, chowing down, hanging out on campus? Like, how is it there?
I think it can be a bit cliquey. And I think it's kind of like the same people who are like maybe in like leadership positions with the student body and everything like that. I think they know each other and they're in this and they're in that, and it's all like kind of the same people. But I think there's camaraderie there, of course. It's like we're all smart, talented Black people trying to get a good education. So it's like, as much as you can get, maybe.
Okay. And girl, don't be afraid to be real on this podcast. But
like, I don't want to shit talk Howard, but like,
I know.
Actually,
I know. No, honestly,
delete us.
I'm crying. No, honestly, like I can definitely relate a little bit to like the click thing because I feel like it's the same at Drexel as well, but it's even worse because the groups are even smaller. And I feel like it's like, when like you go to high school and you expect that to stop there, it doesn't stop in college. Like it does not stop in college. Trust me, it continues on. The cliques, the groups, the friend groups, that all happens. It really just is the point of like, I guess, finding your group. So how would you say, like, how hard was it to find your group? Do you think you struggled with that, especially being that like we ended up going into freshman year virtual? It's a lot harder. So if you don't know, both of us graduated 2020. That's when the pandemic happened, and we both went into our freshman year of college on Zoom. So we didn't get the chance to have that freshman 101 to meet people on campus and stuff. So how do you think it was, like, especially at Howard? I don't know about your experience, but tell me about your experience, like transitioning and meeting friends and finding your group on campus.
I definitely took some time. I would say I didn't meet my actual like people that I consider to be friends until my third year. Definitely. I think I specifically struggled with making friends that like second year, that were technically the first year I was actually on campus. So I would say it's not been as enjoyable as I would have wanted it to. But I mean, I noticed people who, they made friends like immediately. I don't know if they're still friends. I don't know. That is not my business. But I think I'm like, I like to see people like have nice, cute like friendships. I think even now I really still don't feel like I have like any real friendships. Sorry to all my Okies. Please don't listen to this, okay?
It's not personal.
but yeah, like me personally, I'm like, I do a lot of things by myself. It's still even though that like I still have like my friend group and everything like that, I'm still like, I still just don't feel as comfortable to be like, hey, do you want to go to this museum? Do you want to go to that museum? Do you want to go to this restaurant? So I just do everything by myself, and I've just gotten like so comfortable with myself. So but it's lonely sometimes. It is.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. And not to say that I haven't met good friends that I do go out with, because I do have friends that I go out and do things with, but like it's not on a regular basis. It's like kind of like a thing like, hey, are you free? Do you want to do this? Kind of thing. Like it's like a once in a kind of blue moon kind of thing. Most of the time I relate to, like, I go to a lot of events on campus alone and stuff like that, or I'll meet people by myself, or I'll do things by myself, or I'll be in my room most of the time. It may look like I'm outdoors a lot, guys. I am not outside like that. I am an inside girly for sure. Like I like to be in my room, watch my shows, draw, do what I like to do. But I feel like it's almost different because of the fact, like, I found Black Student Union. So if you don't know, I'm on the board of Black Student Union. I'm the TikTok community lead there. And I feel like it's different when you bond at a WPI and there's a group of Black students there. Like I feel like you are almost bound to like be closer with them because of the fact that there's not that many of you on campus in representation. But being at Howard, there's Black people everywhere, so it's like, I feel like, is it harder for you sometimes to like find that group because of the fact that like everyone is the same and you all are from the same community, you all represent the same thing, so you don't have that like kind of group to like associate yourself with?
Yeah, I would definitely say it's easy to make friends when you're not a minority, but I guess when you are like a minority and you're interested in having friends that like look like you and that just people that relate to you in general and your experiences, especially at college. So for a very long time, I found myself very envious of like, because I live like right next to UMD, and I'm like, if I went to UMD, I would have friends, because I'm like, Black people, like, we have to stick together. But I mean, I think now I've kind of changed my mindset with that, and I'm like, I mean, it's true, like, to have you would be able to build a bit more of a community at like PWIs and everything like that as a Black person. But I don't know if I would say
WPI,
like,
I meant PWI. Yeah, I'm very bad at acronyms, but go ahead, continue.
But yeah, I think now I'm kind of like, I don't know, because then even though everyone looks like you at Howard, I think now it's time to like, that's where you're able to kind of make friends based off interest and everything like that. So I think either way, you're still gonna kind of limit the, I guess, population of people that like you hang out with, and either way, like you like size it down to find your people, in some sort of way, whether that's based off of just like how they look or just interest or personality, things like that.
Definitely. So like I know Howard, especially like at any like HBCU, Greek life is very predominant, and this is the conversation we were having earlier about like Greek life at like HBCUs and how different it is. So I mean, describe like Greek life to you. Like, is it big to you? Do you have friends in Greek life? How is Greek life specifically at Howard? Like, explain that to me, that environment.
Well, for this next part, I'm going to choose my words very wisely, so I have to be very careful with everything I say, but I would say Greek life is definitely big at Howard, especially because a lot of the Greek organizations were founded there. So everyone is like, Alpha Chapter, I gotta get on the Alpha Chapter. So they take it very seriously. To me, I think, there's some people that are like, I don't understand it. But as someone who, my mom is a Delta, so I'm kind of like, I get it. Like, I understand it. I attended alumni events with her and everything like that, and I think it's nice to watch when it's done properly and when you're like continuing to, I guess, do what it's about. Stomach, sorry. When you're focus on what it's about, which is like the sisterhood / brotherhood and like the scholarship and the service and everything like that. Like when you keep it about those three things, it's good. But I will say at Howard, I don't think it always ends up being about those three things. So I think sometimes it goes past that, or I think it gets a little rocky. And like I said, I think it's definitely just because also, everyone kind of just wants to say, like, oh, I joined this organization at the Alpha Chapter. Like, I think it's something you should be proud of and something you want to say, but I think that shouldn't like be the only thing that's like motivating you.
Right.
And yeah.
So do you think that's like a common goal where it kind of loses focus a little bit sometimes?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
I think like they're still focusing on other things and what it's about, but I think sometimes that can be the main drive and it just gets a bit twisted. So
yeah, because like we were talking about that. So for instance, like at Drexel, I feel like Greek life is predominant depending on who you know. There's a lot of Greek life that I feel like Greek life on campus isn't as big as it should be or could be. I feel like, being that we're a smaller college, the Greek life is a little bit smaller, or the groups are a little bit smaller, so the amount of activities or the amount of people that they get to reach out to is also a lot smaller. Also because in general, Drexel, people are just not on campus. Like, they're in their dorms or they're just commuting. Like, we have a lot of commuters at Drexel, and I feel like that is another reason why we don't have as much of like the campus experience or campus life that you would describe college to be. So that's another thing I was going to ask about, like college parties and stuff. Like, do you think there's a lot of that there? Do you think there's a lot of like, dorm parties and stuff like that there? Because I mean, I feel like there's stuff like that here at Drexel, but like you said, it's very cliquey. You have to know somebody to be able to like know about these things. So like, tell me about that kind of stuff at Howard. Is it the same, or am I just like tripping?
Well, definitely with the I think when you go to college in a city, that's definitely something that like you have to take into consideration. You're probably not going to get like what you truly feel as like
Definitely
the college experience, just because everything's kind of spread out. And you sometimes you don't really have like a main area of like congregation or whatnot. I mean, Howard has the yard, but Yeah, it's still a pretty spread out campus, and it doesn't like, I don't know, like I keep bringing up UMD, but like that's just because it's like right kind of there, and I like when I go to their campus, everything is like there, and it's all kind of it's spread out too, but that's just because it's like a really big campus. But and they're not in a city, so they're able to kind of like move around a bit and everything. I was trying to go back to the other point. What was the other second part you said?
So I was talking about the college experience and like how would you describe it? So like, are there college parties at Howard?
Right.
Stuff like that.
So I think there's always parties at Howard. At this point, I don't know anymore because that's not my area of interest, I guess. Those parties are not for me. You always gotta pay, or it's ladies free before 10 or something.
Oh my
some
gosh.
Hoopla.
That's how they get you.
I'm like, okay. Yeah, there's definitely parties. I think, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't even know because like honestly, the ladies free before 10, 11, like be realistic. Who is showing up to a party at 10 o'clock? Like, I'm sorry, but that's when people are pre-gaming. That's when they're doing their thing, getting ready. So that's just like kind of a scam to me. But, I'm not going to get into that. You guys conduct parties how you want. That's just my personal opinion. But, I honestly do agree with you about the city thing. I feel like a lot of the times, like when you're in a city, you get lost in the city itself and you don't focus on the campus. Because like your campus is everywhere at this point. Like people come to Drexel all the time and they're like, I didn't even realize I was in Drexel's campus until I saw the flags up. I was like, yeah, that's literally Drexel. Like if you look at our campus, we're a very, very small campus and you wouldn't even know that you were on a college campus if you were to like go through, you know what I mean? And if we had no flags up or anything, it literally would just look like a small area in Philadelphia. Like, so I feel like that, and then being in like an area where you're like in a remote area, almost like for instance Rowan, right? They're in a remote area and it's like the campus is like a campus city, it's all Rowan. So it's like, that's just a small example. Or even like Rutgers, for instance, is a large campus. So it's like I feel like it's different experiences, and that's why I really wanted to like ask about like the Howard experience, because I mean specifically at HBCUs, I feel like the experience in general is just different. One, because like you're around all people of color, and there's a reason you're there. Their curriculum is probably different, and that's another thing I want to ask. Do you think the curriculum is different? Do you think there's more inclusivity being that you're at a HBCU? Do they offer things that you think that they don't offer anywhere else? And can you maybe describe some of those classes or give examples?
Yeah, I definitely think it's more inclusive. I think you're gonna find especially when talking about like history and maybe even like psychology classes, you're definitely going to get classes with like history about like US, like African American history, or just like things like that. It's going to be more narrow and more specific pertaining to Black people. That's what I would say. I think like my first year of college, like my English class, it was a white professor, but we literally only read works by Black people. And I'm happy that like he just knew to do that, because I'm like, you're just teaching a bunch of Black students. It's like, why are we've read a bunch of like white works in high school. We don't need to keep reading that. From elementary. So I think that's kind of like, it's like little things like that where it's like, okay, this is a plus.
Definitely, because I know like at Drexel we have like specific courses we can take. So for instance, I took an African American literature class, and we read like Frederick Douglass, the Notebook, or his diary, the work for that. But we read a lot of stuff like that, historical things. But I feel like it's not like a natural thing that they include in the curriculum itself. And I feel like in general that's just like the regular like default society, like in society, like we just read those works because that's what was around at the time. But I feel like there is opportunity for a lot of inclusivity, and I feel like I see it growing a lot more and more and more. But I just like would like, for me in general, I would just want to at least take like a week of classes at Howard just to see how it was, because I would love to be able to not only experience the a major Black experience, but get to experience the curriculum, get to experience the education, see how different it is. Do you think that there are like a lot of representation when it comes to like administration as well? Like, do you think Howard really puts forth like, we're trying to hire people of color, we're trying to make sure that our administration is people of color? Or do you think that it's a mix? Do you think that there isn't as much of a mix?
Definitely professors, it can be a toss-up. There's been semesters where I've had like one Black professor, which is kind of ironic, and then there's been like semesters right now I just have only Black professors. So it's like a toss-up. Administration wise, of course, the president is Black, the VP is Black, director of student affairs is Black. Like the deans are going to be Black. Like administration is definitely people of color. The board, I don't know if that's also what you're talking about. The board is a bunch of white people.
Yeah.
But
I'm talking about it all, girl. Everything. The dean, all of that.
Into the school, they're also white. The founder of Howard was literally white. He's a white man.
That is actually really interesting because, I mean, it just really makes you think about the concept of HBCU in general. You're thinking about Black education. You're thinking like our people we're the ones to start this because we wanted to do something for ourselves. But to find out that a large campus that is HBCU for historically Black people is founded by a white man.
A lot of them were. Spelman was founded named after Rockefeller's wife, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes you wonder about like the concept of like the HBCU or Black education, and I'm not gonna get too deep into that right now, but like it really just makes it makes my gears spin a little bit. I'm not sure if it makes your gears spin a little bit, but like the concept of like Black education, what it is, the opportunities that we have, and I'm trying to like use my words wisely, but honestly, like it takes me back to the old days. Like, do you think we ever got out of the concept of like, slavery or the historical ways as to like the opportunities that Black people could have? Like, do you think being that we were founded by a white man or a white woman, do you think that changes things or the way that you look at things when it comes to HBCUs? Or just tell me about your process, because obviously you applied to Howard, so there was a reason why you wanted to apply. I know obviously you wanted to be around people of color, but like being that you have this knowledge now, does that change like your thoughts at all, or does it make you think about things or wonder about things, question things? Just explain to me about like a little bit about your thought process when you found that information out.
I don't think that I think it's just kind of ironic that like a lot of HBCUs are I guess founded by like white people, but I mean at the end of the day, like it was a white person that was probably trying to take advantage, but also
they could have been an
at
ally.
The end, but like also kind of an ally, because you are quite literally trying to educate Black people, and you created an institution for Black people. I think when you do say Howard, like the first thing you're not thinking of is, oh, it's named after this white man. Like it's Howard University is automatically going to be associated with Black people the same way Spelman's going to be automatically associated with Black people. It goes for any HBCU that's named after a white person or something like that, or was founded by a white person. It's always going to be associated with Black people, and I'm happy that like they've established themselves enough to just it's like okay, like a white man did found this, but who's thinking about him? Like I'm certainly not, to be honest.
Right.
I'm like, right. Anyway,
make it our own.
I'm like, okay, well, this white man started the school, but like, okay, like. And he's also super old, super dead. Like I'm like, I don't know this man.
Same like everybody else in the history book.
I'm like, okay, so
who's George Washington?
Right.
But no, honestly, guys, I just ask these questions because I just want to pick your brains. I want to pick people's brains. Honestly, get a little bit deeper into what they think. I'm a very like deep and conceptual thinker. So when I think about these things, I'm always wondering, and then I wonder if other people wonder these things. So I don't have any pre-opinions on these kind of things. These things literally just come up in conversation. So don't take anything personal or think that me or Jada think ways about certain things. This is a conversation. It's an open conversation. So just wanted to clear the air. But continuing on, and ask a couple more questions. But let's see, what are you a part of on campus, and then why does that make your college experience?
Oh, honestly, I think something that I'm so proud to be a part of is my K-pop dance team. Honestly and truly, like, I just think that's so, it's just so, like, everything about it is so not funny, but I don't know. It's really unique to say. Especially because there's other like K-pop dance teams in DC and they don't look like us. Like, we're very unique. Like, we are all black. And then it's like we're just dancing Korean music. It's just so funny. Like, it's just all so like, it's like because we just like it, you know? And so that's what I'm a part of on campus. I don't know, is there anything else I'm a part of? I don't know.
Just so the K-pop is the main thing.
I think that's literally it, actually. Like, my involvement in campus hasn't been as good as I would have wanted it to be.
So why do you think that? Like, why do you think it's not as good as it could have been? What was stopping you from making it different?
Honestly, definitely the pandemic and like just trying to play catch up.
Okay.
And then kind of just also feeling like, you know, when COVID happened, it was kind of just like, I don't really know what I want to do with life anymore. Like, I was like, I want to major in bio and be a doctor and, you know, go to med school and do XYZ. And now I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. And we're like, I don't know my future. Actually, I'm like, you don't have control over your future actually at all.
No control.
And so I kind of like spiraled into that. And then it's also just like trying to catch up and
yeah, I can definitely relate, and I feel like I've talked to a lot of other people too. If you don't know, I'm a journalism major. I minor in criminal justice, but I started off as a chemical engineering major. I literally went through all my high school preparing to be an engineer and didn't even end up doing it. I did a summer honors summer course over my freshman year, and after that program I was like, this is not for me. I literally nearly failed my freshman year and went into academic probation. And after that, I lost all the hope of ever being a STEM girly. I was like, this is not for me. I thought I liked science, but that was in high school. Science and math and all that stuff in college is a whole new thing. Okay, it is not the same. It is not doing algebra, ax plus bc equals y. It is not that. Okay, it is so different. You're doing integrals, you're doing all these things, you're being put into the real world, and it's like your mind can change. So tell me about that. Like, how did you continue to fuel yourself? What did it feel like when you lost hope? Like, describe that process to me, because I'm sure there's a lot of people out here that have felt the same thing, and you know, they can probably relate. So just explain that to me. Like, what were your feelings? What were your thoughts? Explain to me how it was when you were feeling that way. How did you bring yourself back into being, you know, enthusiastic about your education?
So I definitely think it's kind of just like hopelessness is one of the biggest things, and then it's constant worrying, like just anxiety in general of just about like, what am I gonna do? What if I go to med school and I realize I don't like it? I just spent 4 years studying bio, and then I tried to, you know, do this thing, and then I just, you know, wasted a year. Like, what do you, because also it's like with the bio major specifically, like they say, oh, you can do like lab, you can work in a lab, you can do this, you don't always have to go to like med school when you major in bio. But I'm like, who else is majoring in biology and then doing something that's not med school? I know people do, but it's like majority of the people that major in bio are doing it to go to med school. So it's just the lack of like I guess, knowledge of opportunities and everything like that, and what else you could do with it. So, you know, you just constantly like, I don't know what to do with my future. And for some people that may be okay. For me, I like an insane amount of control, especially over my life. I like to have an insane amount of control over my life. And so the thought of just like anything can happen, it's just like, okay, so why try? And then you just lose motivation for everything. So I think one of the main things that I've like kind of honestly, and this is just more recently where I've just really like accepted, like figured out like what I genuinely want to do. And you just have to like really find like something that you're passionate about and, you know, motivated about. But you know, you're not always gonna know everything in college, and sometimes, I mean, people say it's okay to like change your mind, and you know, some people graduate with this major and then do something completely different. But I'm like, I don't really like that idea. But I mean, if that works for you, you know, if you're not as
everyone's
worrisome,
journey is different.
Yeah, like if you're not, I wish I could worry a lot less than I do, but I do worry a lot, so that's just why it just
I guess it definitely depends on the person too, because you know, we like, this is speaking from us personally, we have parents, they're very big on like, you need to get your education, you need to do this. So, you know, growing up as kids, we definitely had a lot of anxiety of getting those good grades, getting honor roll, and, you know, being this like picture perfect person. I'm not saying that no one else has had this experience. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that have also had the same experience, and maybe you can relate. But like, I know from our personal experience, you know, we went to a good high school, we lived in a good community, good area, and then we had parents who were very strict on us about, you need to do this, you need to have a bachelor's degree, you need to graduate college, you need to graduate high school. So it's like, these things sometimes, you know, those ways, they don't leave you. They don't leave you when you move out. They don't leave you when you become independent. Those things are kind of stuck and ingrained in you. So I definitely relate to Jada when she says she had anxiety about it. There are many times where I have thought about dropping out. I can't even count on both hands and feet the amount of times I thought about wanting to leave and drop out of college, because it's such a big thing, especially now in today's world, where like you really want to make your mark and do something with your life, and you want to be different, because there's so many people out there doing these big great things, and you're just kind of wondering like, I wonder what I'm going to end up doing with my life. Like, I have no clue. Like, leave a comment, or you know, tell me something if you've ever felt so confused with where your life was going before. I'm sure you've probably felt like that too. Like, do you know what you want to do? I'm doing this, but do I really want to? Like, will I have regret in 5 years? Am I gonna love to do this forever? Am I gonna end up doing this for the rest of my life? Or like, if I do this for the rest of my life, what is my life gonna be like? Like, do you ever just think about future you, and then, you know, what you would end up telling your past you? Even this can even be you now and you in high school. Just tell me about that. Like, what would you tell high school Jada? And yeah, just what would you tell high school Jada?
Honestly, in high school, I went through like so many, I guess, careers in my head. I would tell myself to just stick with what I want to do and not with what I feel would make my parents proud, or because I kind of got, like, my father put into my head like, you need to do money. So if I bring up, say I want to be I don't know what I told him. I said something like maybe like a sports medicine doctor, something like that. I was like, yeah, I want to be a sports medicine doctor. He was like, well, why don't you just be a orthopedic surgeon? And then I'm like, but that's not what I want to do. I just told you I want to be sports medicine. It's kind of related, but that's not what I said.
Right.
You know? Or like, originally when I wanted to be a dancer in 7th grade, he was like, no, like, dancers don't make money, so you need to figure something out. And I just be like, you like he is the literal reason as to why I kind of put so much pressure onto myself to kind of just like find a career that's gonna you know, make a living and everything like that. Instead of just worrying about, kind of just thinking about just what I feel like would make me happy. So that's what I would tell myself for sure. Just do what you feel like would make you happy and not what your father is putting into your head. For sure.
Yes. Shout out to you though, Pops. We love you. Okay.
Anyway.
But yes, that I'm gonna just end it off right there. This has been a really great conversation. I know I don't want to keep too much of Jada's time, too much of your time, but this conversation will definitely be continued. And definitely like this video if you want Jada to come back on, because I think she's a very great guest and a very great co-host. So yes, with that being said, are there any other thoughts you want to kind of give out to the public, or any maybe advice, even if it's just for yourself? Like, what advice would you give off and leave off with?
College is definitely hard, and I think the quicker, don't compare yourself. Oh my God, that's one of the biggest.
Yes.
I saw a quote the other day about comparison and failure, but I can't remember it right now, so I'm kind of sad. But it was just basically talking about like when you start to compare yourself to other people, like you are setting up your own failure.
Yes.
And especially going to an HBCU, oh my God, like I compare myself so much. It's like because I really, and I'm still like in that kind of moment of just like, well, she's doing this and she has an internship here, and
oh my
she's
gosh,
a part of this organization and that organization, and look how proud her parents are of her. And it's just, don't do it. Don't compare yourself. Just do you. Literally do you when it comes to college experience. Don't compare.
I like that.
That is like the biggest thing I can say. Do not compare.
I like that advice. That's really great advice. I actually talked about that on my podcast, Young Adulting, episode 4, about that. It's the number one thing to fail is you thinking about other people. Focus on yourself. It's way easier that way, okay? Way easier worrying about yourself, because the world is hard enough. But with that being said, Jada, thank you for joining me on this podcast episode. This is episode 6? Yeah, I think this is episode 6 of Lexy's World. And please tune in, you guys. Go listen to my other podcasts. It's on RSS. It's on Spotify. It's on Apple Podcasts. Just go watch, go stream, like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I don't know if you want to shout out your socials or anything, Jada. If not, it's cool. Do you want to?
I won't. But you know what you should follow? HU_10AK. I will shout out my dance team instead.
Period.
He tried to play them about friends, so there you go.
Okay, with that being said, we're going to end this video off, and I hope you guys have a lovely, lovely day and you enjoyed this episode. And peace.